Thank goodness it's Friday. This month's episode is brought to you by the cache type Letterbox, or Letterbox Hybrid. Letterboxing was around long before geocaching began, and letterboxes traditionally required some orienteering skills or ability to follow instructions to locate them. And one of the draws to that hobby was filling up your stamp book with stamps from all the letterboxes that you find and leaving your mark with your own stamp in their logbooks. The idea was adapted to geocaching and can now be listed as letterbox hybrids. You may need to follow instructions to find them, or they could be at their posted GPS coordinates, but they still do need to contain a stamp for anyone who feels the need to stamp. This is TGIF Geocaching Radio, a monthly audio show all about geocaching and the excellent adventures that await us. And I'm Jeff, aka the Bruce Zero. So stay tuned and let's hang out. Well, I don't know about you, but at least for me this month, March, has been a little bit of a challenging month. I have been working on a couple of challenges, and right now I'm trying to complete the date found year grid. And not just of any caches, because I've done that with a 366-day streak a few years back, but with a variant of that, a couple of them actually, one of them to find a letterbox on every date of the year, and one of them to find a multi-cache on every date of the year. And around here, oh man, they are getting so few and far between. I don't think I'm going to be able to complete that grid this year. And so I've been having to travel a little further on days when I have the time to try to get one. And this is the end of winter as well, which means that the snow is starting to go away, but there's still caches that are placed really low and hard to find in the snow. And the forest could still have a foot or two of snow in some places. And it can get so frustrating when you have to log a DNF and the next one to find is so far away. But so far, it's still been providing a good amount of fun and the opportunity to get out and get some fresh air. So in this episode, we've got a whole lot of content, from geocaching news to artificial intelligence, and a great interview with Snag the Tag pros about upcoming games to watch out for. If you haven't heard about Snag the Tag yet, then listen up, because we've got instructions and tips and a whole lot of stories about the fun adventures we've had while snagging those tags. But let's start off with something light and fun. I don't know if you love LPCs or if you hate them, but I found this log that really turned an LPC find into such a memorable experience. LPCs are about as mundane a geocache find as you can get in their typical form. And sometimes cache owners can get really creative, and we might have caches that require a very, 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 very long tool. But generally speaking, they're nothing to get too excited about. But this log made it sound like the best cache ever. This is what it says. This was an amazing hide. Sure, there are thousands upon thousands of LPCs, but you didn't let that stop you, no sir. This lamppost was by far the straightest lamppost ever made, towering above the parking lot with majestic pride, casting its warm glow for all to see. It was a very lovely shade of brown as well. The skirt lifted with ease and made that lovely sound that they tend to make, like fingernails on a chalkboard. Might as well been angels in heaven singing their beautiful song. The container was placed with care and the love that only a true cache owner would know. Its lid snapped ever so tightly. It was truly an amazing sight. Oh, by the way, the log is wet. I love it. It's very reminiscent of what we call liar's caches, where you would post your find log and tell a story that had absolutely nothing to do with what you found. Those were always fun, but they're technically no longer allowed to be published on geocaching.com. At least insofar as the cache listing itself does need to be accurate to the terrain, the difficulty, the type, all of that. But you can put whatever you want in your find log. Next up, we have an update to the news from a couple of months ago. So in January's podcast, we sat down and chatted with TTO2. Now, he is a geocacher who has managed to earn 6 Jasmer loops. Quick recap, the Jasmer is the statistic that says that you've found a geocache that was placed in every month since geocaching began in May of 2000. And the highest that you can get currently is 4, because there are 4 active geocaches that were placed in August of 2000 that are still around today. So his big thing was he managed to get 6 Jasmer loops. And if you haven't listened to that episode, it's really interesting how it was accomplished. However, those caches, it caused a little bit of contention with some people. And thanks to Tyrone Shoelaces, who sent an email letting me know that, hey, wait a second, the statistics have changed. Something's off here. And apparently, the 2 virtual caches that were archived that TTO2 had found had been readjusted back to their original placed dates. It gets a little complicated from that point, but Vince, TTO2, doesn't care so much. He accomplished what he wanted to do, and he's fine with all of that. And so now the statistics from Project GC that indicate the highest Jasmer loopers are all 4 Jasmers, but there's one person who currently has 5 Jasmer loops, and that is Beyond K, and that doesn't include the 2 archived virtuals. So, unless something else changes, we have a 5 Jasmer looper, and I think that's probably about as high as anyone's ever going to get now. All I know is that at some point in the future, I really hope to be able to get to Finland to be able to find that 4th August 2000 cache. That'll be one heck of an excellent adventure. Before we dive into Snag the Tag, this interview went through a bit of a technical hurdle. And I lost all of my editing when the program crashed, but thankfully I was able to recover the raw audio, except that it was a bit of a lesser quality than I hoped. However, that provided a great opportunity to try a new AI-based service that will clean up and improve the audio quality for sessions just like this, such as for podcasts. So, fair warning, the quality in places is a little off, but in others has been boosted an impressive degree. I'll let you try to figure out the difference. So let's dive into part 1 with some introductions, stories, and why community is so important to this game. All right, let's get started. We have here the dream team of Snag the Tag. We've got a crowd. We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff Snag the Tag related. So first off, we've got Scott Kirby from the UK. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me back after our last event. It was we left, we finished at 2:00 in the morning talking to you. I think after everyone had got offline, myself and Ian convinced you to go off and find another tag, which...
Yep, and literally when the recording for that event ended, a new one published and I was out the door, did another lifestyle.
That's what it's all about. You've got to be out the door and you've got to be first.
Yep. And then we also have the new heads of Snag the Tag Canada.
Hey,
welcome. Good. Introduce yourselves.
Yes, I'm Dan.
Man.
And we are the new double agents. But, yeah, we're here to help expand the game in Canada.
And then you guys are just like huge fans of Snag the Tag and started up your communities, and it's just been growing in your regions since then. That's awesome. And then we also have Katie Reed. Welcome.
Hi.
You are also a big fan of Snag the Tag, and you've kind of been able to get into the position of creating your own games.
Yeah, Scott's fault. As soon as I saw the wizards and that was it, I was like, well, I can do that. I can give it a go. So yeah,
It's all Scott's
I've
fault.
done
Well, first of all, let's just cover for anybody who doesn't know what Snag the Tag is. Can you describe what Snag the Tag is, just kind of in general, and why it's so fun and why you like it so much?
It's just total madness, is what it is.
Ultimate first to find.
Yeah, I mean that's it's pretty much it in a nutshell. It is a game of first to find where players obviously buy hiders packs, and in that hider pack contains a coin and a tag for themselves to keep. And then within the pack are a further 2 tags that accompany the coin, and the hider will go out and hide those tags as they would similar to a geocache. They place the coordinates and they submit those coordinates with the tag, and the tag is eventually published onto a map for the general public, and the first person to find that tag and claim it obviously can then claim a pretty cool geocoin to accompany it.
One other thing that I love about this game is that every game is different, and there's so many different themes. And from what I've seen of the games, they just seem to get more deeper with every game. Like there's more story content, there's more themes. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how it's come so far.
We're quite fortunate with some of the things that we've got. People are becoming more and more creative with the stories and backgrounds and things like that they come up with when they go to publish these tags. And the only limit is your imagination to the stories that you can create for them. And it's also nice to see some of the stories that people get in on these hides and stories as well. It's brilliant.
And I've done a couple of live streamed Snag the Tag runs as well. And it's always fun doing that. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people love going for first to finds. And this side game to geocaching is just kind of blossomed because it's attracted that rush for that first, the ultimate game of first to find. Nobody else can find what you just found. And so there's a lot of adrenaline in that.
Adrenaline will absolutely run if more than one person, which is GZ at the same time.
Completely.
That's always fun too.
Have you ever had to decide who gets the tag if multiple people got there first?
Not quite that. There was an event in the UK at Halloween, and I think, what was there, 7 or 8 of us all turned up.
It was the Bumping All Night event, wasn't it?
And it was chaos. We were all shouting at each other. Yeah.
Still, like, spread out a really small area.
I think Bumping the Night, I even received a personal message off of Dan and said, I found it. And the tags were hidden in trees with rubber bats. And he sent me this picture of this rubber bat, and I was like, no, that's definitely not it. That's definitely not the tag. I don't know where you found that, but you need to place it back.
Yeah, I had as well, but yeah.
I remember when Midwest Geobash, I think it was 2019, when they had their Snag the Tag event there. And all of the tags in that game were placed within the campgrounds of Midwest Geobash. And it was chaos every time a new one became published. There were just so many people were rushing out to every location. It's like, you have to drop everything and make sure you got your bike, because if you don't have your bike, you're running. If you got your bike, you're there first. And it was just chaos, and it was so much fun to try to be there first.
Did you get one?
So yeah, I did manage to get one of the tags from Midwest Geobash, and I didn't do a video of that one, no, because it was so intense. You literally, there was no time to pick up the phone. There was no time to start the camera. It was just, get over there. But it was so good.
I mean, the nice thing is we started off in the UK quite small, and we've grown it a bit at a time. But now, I think after where obviously we're going into a bit more, I created the Wizards, and then I followed that up with the Witches game. And that has obviously then brought in other people now wishing to create games and whatnot. So it just goes to show how the games and things are growing amongst the community. It's something that anyone can get involved in. You just got to have an idea for a game, and you just got to think to yourself, right, I'm going to do this, bite the bullet and go for it.
Yeah, and there are games that happen only in specific countries, and there's some that happen worldwide.
We haven't had a UK-only game yet. We had, when we first introduced the Wizards, we weren't sure how the Wizards were gonna fare. And as we mentioned in the YouTube video, the Wizards absolutely took off massively and completely blew us away. And we'd only had a set amount minted. And obviously that then set the future for Snag the Tag with regards to pre-sales, because we realised that potentially pre-sales are the way forward. So you can't underorder and you certainly can't overorder. And as the game's grown, more and more players want these tags and coins. So when we introduced the Witches, we had the Witches obviously on a pre-sale, and that was global, and then went from there, which has obviously now led on to our other game creation, which is coming up in July. And this is, as you say, it is only a UK game. So for the last 2.5, 3 years, I think since I started Snag the Tag, I've been pestering all of these organisers and megas and things to sort of try and get Snag the Tag into a mega, because a mega is a massive stage for new players and things, and people that have never heard of the game. I spoke to Chris and the Pirate Mania team committee, and they agreed to have a Pirate Mania game at their Pirates Mania Mega 15 in July. And it's fingers crossed. We had 50 coins and supporters coins sold, made, 50 for the Europe only for the event, purely for the event, and then we released the other 50 globally. And I'm pleased to say they all sold out in less than 24 hours. Fortunately, you just got your standard hider pack for the Pirate Mania event. It'll contain a coin, because it's an event edition. It's the first time for the UK we've kept it to one tag for the player to hide, so the packs are a little bit cheaper this time around. But obviously the idea is to take Redemption to Pirate Mania and bring more footfall to Pirate Mania. Yeah. The other bonus is that we're putting it to a group of 500 odd players that have potentially never heard of the game, and they're going to have it almost thrown in their faces to say, hey, this is Snag the Tag, and guess what? There's 10 to 12, even 15 tags potentially hidden around this mega. Yeah. You better get your running shoes on.
Yeah. I think it has a bigger effect if it's within the mega event, because everybody's there and everybody who wants to get it will be, being notified right there. There's less requirement for mailing in, especially if you've got Redemption at the event. Then you just find the tag and you can get your coin there. There's no having to claim it and then get it mailed to you somewhere across the world. That was the benefit of the Midwest Geobash one as well.
Yeah, this is it. So this would be what's happening at Pirate Mania. And we did have a few disappointed players. Obviously, they wanted to get their hands on these tags, so hence we offered the supporters version globally, so that players could buy the Snag the Tag event coin, which is obviously exclusive to the UK, but they can obviously get their hands on the supporters version rather than the hiders. There was a little bit of upset, but as we've had to say to them, unfortunately, it's the same with over in America. You do have your own events in America, like you say, the Geo Coin Bash events, and we don't get to see those at all. Yeah. So it's no different to over here, but obviously we're just trying to grow it that a little bit more over here by having this event.
This is a game where not everybody gets a prize. We have to learn that as adults.
All those die-hard coin collectors just really want them all. But
yep.
Get them all.
Like, I wonder if anybody out there currently has every single Snag the Tag coin. Probably not.
Possibly Market League, but I genuinely don't know. Obviously, I've been fighting tooth and nail to get the rest of the Tag Hunt soul coins, or the soul catcher coins. So I was recently on the Facebook groups, sort of posting left, right, and centre, trying to get that set. And apparently, I've since found out, despite having the 4 coins, I'm still a tag. So I'm like, oh no, I need that tag. I need them all. And I believe, Dan, you were looking for the Knights Templar coins, aren't you?
Absolutely, yes. I'm hunting hard for those. Desperate.
So, Dan and Beth, like, you have started now a Canadian branch, I guess, of Snag the Tag. You like?
Yeah. So we moved over to Canada last year, and obviously we were die-hard fans of the game in the UK, and we've been helping Scott with various things. And when we dropped the news that we were moving over, Scott suggested, well, there's nobody up there yet that's doing what I'm doing. Do you guys fancy helping out? So once we turned up, we spoke to Mark and Oleg, and here we are. We're doing what we can to help the game grow and keep the costs down a little bit as well, especially with the redemption fees and things.
Yeah, especially that international shipping on coin.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing with Snag the Tag. Like you really have to have people who are willing to, in a way, invest in the game by buying the hider pack. Because if nobody becomes a hider to hide the coins, then there's no game. So like I've kind of found that it's like some regions are hot spots for Snag the Tag coins. So it's good that you're over here now and you're trying to promote the game, because the more people locally can more willingly get involved with the game and buy those hider packs and hide those coins and spread them far and wide, the more that new people can hear about it and join in.
Absolutely, yeah. We seem to have a diehard few that the few games that we've been involved in so far.
Mm-hmm.
The same people have come to us each time, and a couple of new ones each time as well. So that's great.
A couple of finders go on to be now hiders.
Yes, so that's
always the aim, which is good.
That's it.
That comes from us bringing the cost down.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help.
Manageable, so I think it's definitely a benefit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got a few people in my area that have been pretty much doing it since Snag the Tag began. And
yeah,
you can almost tell if something is published down in one city, you know who hit it, one of like 2 or 3 people, and you know probably who's going to be the first to find it.
That's it. You know who to say thank you to the next time you see it.
Geocaching HQ has just announced the next set of souvenirs to earn this summer, 2023, and it is
Wheel of Challenges.
Maybe that sounds familiar. I feel like that sounds familiar. I think that sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure that sounds very, very familiar. If you have listened to Geocache Talk Network and Challenge Talk, that's the podcast that I helped launch back when the pandemic began. And from the second episode, we had a monthly contest called the Wheel of Challenges. Somebody thought that maybe they could use that name again for souvenirs at Geocaching HQ. I don't know. Could they have used the challenge wheel or the wheel of accomplishment? I don't know. It doesn't really have the same ring. It is what it is, and we have new challenges coming up for the next 6 months, one a month. And apparently what they're doing is they're spinning a wheel with with a different variety of challenges on each little tick. And so we don't really know what challenges will be coming in the future, but this first month is all about the finds. With 3 difficulties, you can earn souvenirs by finding 5 caches in April, 10 caches in April, or 100 caches in April. So if you want to find that hard souvenir, plan for at least 1 or 2 days of intense cache finding by the 30th of April if you can. NBC News produced a little segment reporting on a new finding from McMaster University, posing the question about whether we rely too much on GPS, and is it time to return to those paper maps? Essentially what they found was that using GPS too much does too much brain work for us, and puzzle solving helps keep the brain healthy. So they interviewed a lady who does orienteering as a hobby, some contests, and basically trying to get from A to B as fast as possible using a compass and map through hilly, kind of rough terrain. It was really interesting, really intriguing, and I really want to know if this person knows about geocaching. Basically, the conclusion was that losing navigational skills can lead to cognitive decline, like dementia, and reading a map stimulates the hippocampus, the part of the brain that's responsible for memory and navigation and mental mapping, and orienteering could potentially help fight Alzheimer's as well. And so they ended off with some recommendations. Change your usual route, turn off the GPS on your routine trips, or go and get lost on purpose and try to figure out how to get home. And I'm just thinking, do these people not know about geocaching? Puzzle solving helps keep the brain healthy, they say. Well, geocaching is full of puzzle solving, And yeah, sure, we use GPSs, but we're using the GPS to navigate to GZ, to where the cache is located. And so, on one hand, you have people who use GPS all the time and completely lose their navigational skills, their sense of direction. And on the other hand, you've got the extremists, the purists who only use hardcore navigational stuff like compass and maps. But in the middle, we've got technology and nature and puzzle solving all there. And you know what? That is why geocaching is such an amazing, awesome hobby, because it's healthy through and through. Somebody needs to get those reporters on the phone and tell them about geocaching. It's the perfect hobby for retirees, and it addresses all of the concerns and issues that they were talking about. And it even has an element of orienteering with the Letterbox Hybrid, or at least the good ones that get you to do things by instructions instead of just going to the posted GPS coordinates. I guess those could go either way. Who would have thunk that Letterbox Hybrids could use orienteering to be extremely healthy for the brain, or could be so simple they just lead to cognitive decline? What do you think? Are letterboxes good for the brain, or could they lead to dementia? So I just attained a brand new geocaching t-shirt, which I think goes great with the adventuring theme I love so much. It reads, "Geocaching, because no epic tale began with yoga." And it's from our sponsor, Arted Crafted. They've got an enormous collection of all sorts of geocaching themed paraphernalia at artedcrafted.com. There's even options to customize designs so you can be unique. Until April 30th, if you place any order and use the coupon code CACHETHELINE with spaces, you can save 15% off any order at checkout. If you'll be attending any mega events this summer, watch for Arted Crafted in the merch area and be sure to peruse what's in stock. But right now, go visit the store at artedcrafted.com and freshen up your wardrobe a bit, and don't forget to save on your order with that coupon code CACHETHELINE. And as always, you can find all of the links that you need listed in the show notes, which are linked in the description of this episode. So I was just wondering if AI has heard of geocaching. So I decided to go to ChatGPT and ask it to tell a story of a geocaching adventure. Sure enough, it knows what geocaching is. Only it might live in a parallel universe. I'm not exactly sure. But here are a couple of excellent geocaching adventures that were submitted by ChatGPT. I decided to embark on a geocaching adventure in a nearby forest. I heard rumors of a hidden cache in the area that contains a special prize for anyone who can find it. I was determined to be the one to uncover it. After hours of searching and several false leads, I finally stumbled upon a hidden cave. Inside, I found a series of puzzles and clues that led me deeper into the cavern. As I progressed, I realized that this wasn't just any ordinary cache. The puzzles became increasingly complex, and I started to feel like I was in the middle of a treasure hunt. Finally, I reached the inner chamber of the cave, where I found a locked chest. I used the clues I'd collected to solve the final puzzle, and the chest slowly creaked open. Inside, I found a small wooden box with a note attached to it. The note explained that the box contained a special prize for whoever found it. I opened the box and discovered a set of golden dice with strange symbols etched on them. As I picked them up, I felt a strange energy coursing through my body. I realized that these are no ordinary dice. They're magical artifacts that grant the wielder extraordinary powers. The magical dice are small and compact, made entirely of solid gold. Each die has 6 faces with intricate symbols etched into each side. The symbols are unlike any I've ever seen before, almost otherworldly in their design. As I hold the dice in my hand, I can feel a faint pulse of energy emanating from them, as if they're alive with some kind of magical power. I can't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder at the sight of them. I emerged from the cave triumphant, clutching my newfound treasure. I felt like I'd just unlocked a whole new world of possibilities, and I can't wait to see where these magical dice take me next. Oh boy. If only geocaching were actually like that. This can be super entertaining or super cheesy. I don't know. This could go either way, but it's fun to play with. So if you are curious, then check it out. Go to ChatGPT. You can Google it and just play around. It is super smart, but see what kind of crazy, wild adventures it can come up with. And if you manage to get it to tell you a really fun or crazy, spectacular adventure, then copy it and email me at tgif@cachetheline.net, and maybe we'll share it on the next show. Here is a quick Lone Wolf contest update. Have you seen the Lone Wolf Legacy Cache Tour series on YouTube yet? If you haven't, or even if you have, you still have a chance to be one of 50 people to win a special prize. And here's a little teaser. There's an exclusive path tag and swag in it for you. Hoping to launch later this year, codename Project EGA is a labor of love I've been working on for some time now, and it's nearing time for it to be revealed. Cache the Line patrons are already in the loop, and development is really progressing. If you'd like to win one of those 50 exclusive prizes, then here's what you've got to do. Visit the Lone Wolf Legacy video playlist you can get at cachetheline.net/lonewolf, LONEWOLF, and watch for special words that are highlighted by a smiley face in all but one of the videos. Once you've got them all, string them together and visit cachetheline.net/ and append that string of words and follow the instructions there. We're up to 24 successful entrants so far, and the contest won't end until all 50 slots are claimed. You can find the instructions also listed in the episode notes. I'm expecting to finally reveal the secret later this year, and I can't wait to share it with you.
Katie, we haven't heard from you very much yet. How did you get involved? What was your favorite game, and how are you enjoying
I
it?
think it was from listening or watching one of your YouTube videos, and it was going on about Snag the Tag, and I was like, what on earth is this game? And I joined when it was the No More Secrets game, and I think it was actually the video where you gave out the secret word of Black Hat.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
There's another
completely,
episode.
not knowing what were these badges and things like that, where I was like, that's a weird comment that he just said about his hat. How weird is that? And the next thing I know, everybody's like, I've got it. And I'm like, got what? And I just completely was out of it. And then, so then I got into it for that game. And my first one, took my little one, and we both sort of just went. My husband was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I just made him drive, and we got out and got our first tag, and it was amazing. The whole time there, I was like, somebody's definitely going to it. Look, that person's going there. And I was on such an adrenaline rush. It was crazy. Everybody is a suspect.
Becomes a tagger.
There's
And,
nothing like that feel of checking the hiding spot, and there's still something there. Yes.
oh, dear, it was crazy. And I didn't know what I was looking for either, because it was my first ever time doing. And the hider is actually a local geocacher, and he hides his things so well. And I walked past it about 3 times, and then suddenly I saw it, and I was like, screamed at the middle of the road. And this neighbour must have just looked at me like, what is she doing?
Katie mentioned that the badges, that's another brilliant, obviously, part of the game where you can discover, or I say discover, you've got badges for your profile. Obviously, you get the when you activate your tag, you get a badge that's associated with that tag for your profile, but you also get other badges that you can find through secret code words and stuff. And it amuses me so much how crazy we all go as a community over these badges. We go absolutely nuts. As soon as a prime example is the Pirate Mania one. Obviously was announced and released, and Katie obviously done the trailer for the Pirate Mania reveal, and straight away I got messages going, is there a badge? What's the bad code? And it's like, no, it's there's no badge yet. The badge is not released until the page is live. When the page is live, there's most likely going to be a badge, and I don't know what it is.
And these codes can be hidden anywhere.
Yes,
They could be hidden on the website. They could be hidden on pages. They could be hidden in YouTube videos and podcasts. You know, it's like they could be anywhere really, and you
Yeah.
keep trying to find it.
Yeah, that's it. To be clear, though, there is none in this podcast.
I can say that you know of.
that I'm aware of at this time. There's probably, as we sort of say, sort of Scotty doesn't know, but yeah, it's as far as I'm aware, there's no badges for this. As far as I'm aware at this current time. However, I'm sure Mark and Oleg have got sneaky things up their sleeves, and I'm sure there's still badges out there undiscovered that we're yet to find, but we will wait and see.
Another thing just came to mind that I never realized until now. There was a game a long time ago, very similar to Snag the Tag, and it was run by Dr. Pepper, not sponsored, and they were doing big prize giveaways. They were giving away $10,000, $25,000, $50,000. I think there was $100,000 coin somewhere as well, and pretty much hidden like Snag the Tag. They hid them all over North America, U.S. and Canada, and then they just released hints, more vague hints, getting more and more specific every week, and it attracted so many people, and everybody's trying to figure out what this hint meant, this little puzzle, trying to figure out where it could be hidden, and I remember it was about the second last one that was released. I had a general idea in Toronto, and this was when I was still using transit, so I was using Greyhound and bus and whatnot. And I was sure I knew where the coin was. It was like within a park, kind of in a maybe 100-meter square area. And so I took the day off and I dashed up and I was scouring around and there was nobody there. There was nobody else around. So I'm looking around, like I couldn't find it. I was going up the fence lines. I was peeking through bushes. This was kind of nighttime now, and I just couldn't find anything. It's like, oh, I don't want to leave. But I had to get the last bus home, so I went home, and then first thing in the morning, when the next clue came out, I got that, and I'm like, oh, it is there. So I had to get back onto the bus, get back over to Toronto. That's another 2-hour drive or so, and I got there, and sure enough, there were people all over the place. They were all doing exactly the same thing as I was last night, scouring the fence line, the trees, looking up and down, kind of poking their hands in the grass, all that. And then I'm looking at, and I see there's one guy off in the distance, and he's suddenly running to the road. Like he had another friend maybe, and they dash in their car, and I look around, like other people are starting to look. I get up and close, and then somebody else who was with them around where they started running asked them what was up, and he said, oh yeah, he found the coin, and he ran off, and and pretty much that was it. I tried to figure out where it was, and they're like, okay, well, he was kind of around here. It was at this bush, and I'm looking, and it was a bush that I looked at. I had my hand in there, but it was a bush that was on the fence line. And so on the other side of the fence line is private property. So what I hadn't done was reached over the fence and looked just on the other side of the fence.
Oh,
So I was inches away from a $10,000
no.
coin. Now, fortunately for Snag the Tag, these coins aren't worth $10,000.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
But I think Katie had a similar experience with Black Hat, though, didn't you, Katie? You went off looking for it, a Black Hat tag, and you had a rough idea, and you walked straight past it.
Oh, so Black Hat has been my nemesis. Oh yeah, I went there and I was 100% sure I was there, and I went around early because I actually was going on holiday, and I knew there was only 2 places it could be, and it was mazes. It was a hedge maze, and then there was another one that was just like a floor maze. And I went to the hedge maze and I walked past the spot, and it was the only statue I didn't look behind. And then the person who got it posted a picture of where it was hid, and I was like, no! It was there. I was not impressed.
That's like the worst feeling, when you know it was right there and you could have had it and you just missed it. Like, congrats to the person who found it, but no, why did you find it?
The thing with the Black Hat was it was a extremely rare release or of a tag, and there was very few put out. And I think unfortunately Canada, because it was before Beth and Dan got to do it, I don't think there was actually any released in Canada, was there?
Nope.
Not that I know of, no.
There was one on my doorstep back in the UK, though.
There was one released in the US, and that happened to be around the time of Cash Fest in Memphis last year. and it happened to be published right around the time when I was about 10 meters away from it. I managed to snag a black hat tag.
Well,
It was placed by a lackey. This one. I don't know who placed all the other black tags, black hats, but this one was a lackey that placed it.
Nice.
So that was very, very fortunate.
All I know is they were sought after and rare, and to some extent in the UK they caused some headache and a little bit of confusion. But overall, I think the majority of people enjoyed themselves over that.
I'm not going to lie, there were moments where I hated it, like really hated it. And then there were moments like, I still want to get one. Gotta get
Yeah.
So who designs all of these coins? Like especially the wizards and the witches. Like those are some really creative, well-designed coins.
The wizard, I just had the idea for a wizard, and I just put down a rough sketch for a wizard, and I thought, well, that'd do. And then I sent it off to Oak Coins to be finalised. And admittedly, the first design they sent back looked rather Disney, and I was like, no, that's just not happening. And I just rejected it straight away. I said, no, he's got to be old looking. He's got to be sort of really old and cranky. That's to me, that's a wizard. That is just no. And the second design came back. And they went, what about this? And I was like, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted. And that's how the wizards became to be. And the witches, however, took a complete opposite turn. The original witch went through a number of changes. The original witch actually looked old and cranky like the wizard, and it was sort of like, oh, I don't know. You couldn't see her face, and the more you looked at it, the wizards, I don't know, they had a personality, whereas the original witch that we had designed didn't. So we had the witch redesigned, and then it went through a period of changes, and one of them was going to be, she was going to have an actual 3D, a doll's house broom. So the broom would have been her tag, and you would have had the coin, and the doll's house broom would have been in her hand. And as I sort of drew and pondered over it, I then thought, well, actually, why not have, when you think of a witch, you obviously think of a broom, but you also think of a cat. And I thought, well, how could you put a cat in with a witch? And I thought, well, witches fly brooms. Why not have the cat hanging off the witch's broom? And a bit more sketching and editing, and that's how it came to be. And it went from having a doll's house broom to obviously part of the coin, and the cat then became the tag over the broom. And obviously in its little amusing little way that it hangs off the broom as it clings on for dear life as she whizzes through the skies.
It's a great idea. I mean, the fact that each coin comes with a tag that you have to find, and it kind of completes the design, and kind of makes you really want to get them. Because the wizard was the staff, like it was with,
that's correct, yeah,
with a little jewel in the top. And I mean, if you look through the other games, you can kind of see what all of the partner tags are. Whether it's like the back, I like the zombies with the eating the brain. That's a good idea. So yeah, it's such a creative outlet as well. It's not just coins. It's like you're seeing creative stuff happening with each game.
That's it, and they're different to standard coins as well. It's not like your everyday run-of-the-mill coin. It's different.
Yeah, and they are geocoins. Like they are legitimate geocoins. So they're trackable items with their own tag, their own codes that you can track and own on geocaching.com. They're trackable items. But the tags themselves, they have unique codes that are specific to snag the tag.
Yeah, so they complete the coin. Oh, can I also just, and this is for Dan and Beth's benefit as well, just need to make it clear that myself and Dan and Beth and the other volunteers, we don't get paid for this. We are doing this purely out of love of the game. And, we're not trying to tread on people's toes and stuff. We are doing it to try and keep the costs down, to keep the game going, a game that we enjoy. Obviously, if you wanted to buy it from a store, you're more than welcome to buy it from a store. But you would probably, like you say, you end up paying more from the store. And again, we're not trying to put stores out of business. For the player, we are here to just purely keep the cost down.
For this game to grow, it needs the shipping cost to be lower.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And that's one of the benefits of having you guys help with the communities, because anybody who finds a tag, you don't have to go to the website and order one individually, either from Snag the Tag or from a store in a region. You essentially are contacting one of you guys, the community heads, to say, yep, this is the code, and then you ship it from within the same region. So it's really beneficial. So thank you for helping.
No worries. we want to continue playing the game, so if this is what we got to do to help it, we will.
As somebody who has hidden that the hider pack cost plus shipping can be a barrier to entry, because it does get so high when you just
that international gives a sting.
I think the stores tried to do the same kind of thing that you guys are doing. Being a store in, say, Canada, they can collect X number of coins to be able to distribute to Canadian people who have claimed the coins. So you run the Facebook community for Snag the Tag Canada and the UK. I'll drop those links in the show notes as well, so people can find them and connect with people in their own area. This is one of those games that, do you really want to connect with other people and let people know what's going on? Because if there's more competition, there's less chance of getting one.
It's a double-edged sword, because you want more people to hide, but you also got the fact that you've got more people to potentially find as well. But the more hiders, the better.
It is time for the Patron Adventurer of the Month. Cash the Line is supported by a band of excellent adventurers through Patreon who graciously pitch in and help the channel continue to grow and improve. And for this show, our Patron Adventurer of the Month is Desafio. She is one enthusiastic traveler and is a very prolific geocacher in Ontario. She's also hosted many events and helps to promote the hobby among the local and wider community. Thanks so much to Desafio for your ongoing support of Cash the Line. And you too can help support Cash the Line and unlock bonus content and swag, including participating in Project EGA, by visiting patreon.com/cashtheline. That's patreon.com/cashtheline. Thank you so much for your support and for helping make all of this possible. All right, you guys, we're at the final for a multi-cache, and it's been a bit of a hike to get here. It's kind of in the backside of a neighborhood right up high, and now along a fence line right next to the highway. It is supposed to be in a tree, and there are a whole bunch of little trees. And these are the bare kind, so there's not a lot of, it's like the bushy trees, so not a lot of leaves and nothing though. Okay, so there were two pieces of information I needed to get to calculate the final. They were not hard. So I'm just going to quickly check over some past logs and see what others say.
12 seconds later.
All right. Other people have come to the same conclusion. And one past log has hinted that it is on the other side of the fence. Look, no, you can't see. I feel like that scene in Terminator 2 when the nuke's going off and I'm hammering against the fence line. No, it's right there. It's about 5 meters on the other side. There is a break in the fence. Oh, here we go. It's a beautiful day. I don't know the rest of the song.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
And we're back, and my foot just slipped down about a foot into the snow. Got my boots on. No, I am not getting a soaker, not today. Oh, look at that. Nice and bright and blue. That is the sound of a shiny bison. Excellent, and there is the log sheet. I'm gonna sign in, and thank you for coming along on this short audio geocaching adventure. And I don't think there's another fence between me and the highway. I'm staying safe back here. Later. If you are somewhat new to geocaching, or perhaps new to iPhone, then you absolutely need to get for yourself Cachly, the premier geocaching app on iOS. It has vastly surpassed any other geocaching app in features and quality, and I even use it for more than just geocaching. I also have a Garmin Forerunner watch, which integrates nicely with iOS and the app's notifications, but if you have an Apple Watch, Cachly fully supports the accessory. You can find out more about that at www.cachly.com, CACHLY.com. The app alone is worth a few bucks for its feature set, including the optional offline maps, which I've also used when I knew I was going out of reception range. It has so many useful features. I highly recommend this app whether you're a veteran geocacher or just starting out in the activity. Once you go Cachly, you'll never cache rashly. I think I'm going to use that cheesy line all the time. Find it in the App Store or by visiting www.cachly.com.
So we have one game that has just started as of recording this audio. UFO 2 Beam Me Up Watson. This is like I guess
That's the one.
resurgence of the original UFO game. And that one started March 25th and it's running to the end of June. But there's also an upcoming game which will be starting early summer, I think. And I think, Katie, you've got some insight to that one, don't you?
Yeah, so that's the murder in the mansion one where I was able to kill off Oleg. That was fun. He gave me permission. It was all right. But yeah, I created this one, so it got me into it, and I just thought, right, I've got to give this a go.
Can you describe the theme and what you've got to do with this one?
Basically, this one, if you can see trailers and things on the actual community pages, someone's been murdered, which is Oleg, and you've got to find out who's actually done it. So there's backstories to each character. There's two characters for the hiders. There's Mrs. Garnet and Major Gold, and you've got to go find them, get your tag, and bring them back, and then you get your coin. But yeah, there's actually and also a separate website for this one to get like the badges we were talking earlier, and it's like a sort of a game outside of the game. You actually find out who's the real guilty one when you solve it.
Not me.
Yeah, you keep saying it's not the butler, but you know. But the game's basic. It's very, very loosely played on like the Cluedo game and ones like it's you can't say it is Cluedo because it's not, obviously copyright things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just a murder mystery based on that game because I loved board games as a kid. Playing with family and stuff. I wanted to do something a little bit different for the hiders, basically, because like we were talking, the cost is high. You have to pay a little bit more, and so if you're a hider for this game, there is a little bit something extra coming for you, and so it's nice. But the community will all be able to get involved with it. It's not just but it'll be to the hider's discretion.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Snag the Tag page with 35 days until it starts right now, and that initial descriptive paragraph is enticing.
It's something that you can really, I mean, I'm a bit of a storyteller anyway, but it's just something you can really get into because you basically, when you're building the design of one of these, I found that you have to have your story first because then you can build off how you're going to get your coin design or, and having that story helps you actually imagine, oh, okay, I can do this with that. Like, so this coin is the shape of a magnifying glass, a little bit like, Sherlock Holmes type thing. And the front is the rooms, like you would get on a game. and then on the reverse is jail bars, because you're getting them to be put behind jail. And with this one, you can actually have the tag, which is the person or the character, either behind bars or you can have them in the rooms. So it's just something nice, a bit different like that.
It was another really neat design. After seeing it, I'm like, that's something outside the box. You've got a coin that you can use both directions, either the front or the back, and it's designed to work both ways. And so good job on that. And I'll drop links in the show notes as well for where you can actually see the coins. I think you've got a Major Gold tag and a Mrs. Garnet. Those are the 2
That's
coin
it,
types.
yeah. Yeah, those are the ones that are in play. You've got the supporters as well, but obviously you won't be get
Well, that's going to be a fun one to start. And when does that one start?
May the 1st.
May to August. The website says May to August.
So more pictures and fun to be shared. Catching that pesky butler, who is innocent, by the way, I'd like to add.
The butler did it.
So news-wise, fingers crossed, and I'm still working on it with them. I'm hoping we can have a UK/Canada team up.
Crossover.
Yeah. So
There might be something in the works.
fingers crossed. I keep saying to them, no, I'm not doing any more games. I've done the Witches. I've done the Wizards. I've done Pirate Mania now. I think I'm done. But we were, to be fair, talking about this crossover for the last couple of months now. So I'm hoping to get on something with Beth and Dan, and hopefully it will boost the Canadians, that group, that much more. I suggested something. Dan and Beth have done the rest. They've shown me their ideas for the new coins and stuff they would like to try, and I think it's going to be absolutely huge. I really do, and that's all I'm saying on that. That's all you're getting.
Yep.
No more pen spilling.
No, that's it. I'm not saying it because it's such a nice surprise when the new coins are released. You're like, you know, what's the next? You constantly get, what's the next game going to be? When's the next game coming out? You know, people cannot wait. And when that coin is finally revealed, it's such a nice surprise for players. And obviously with Katie's help, we're starting to release things trailer wise and stuff, and coin reveals in newer and smarter ways, and really grabbing the community's attention. I would like to think we are anyway, at least with the way we're pushing things out. Obviously, with Mark and Oleg's permission, of course.
Well, that's also great news to hear that there's still more coming up. I don't think this is ever going to end. There's endless themes, endless ideas, and as long as there are always hiders to continue the game, then I don't see it ever ending, and I hope it doesn't, because it's another great add-on to this geocaching hobby, this scavenger hunt, worldwide scavenger hunt.
That's it. And can I just add, if anybody wants to create their own game, speak to Mark and Oleg and just say, no, obviously you're interested. There is obviously some financial investment you have to make. However, you are rewarded for it, as it were. If anyone is in the UK, we've got a UK Murder in the Mansion event coming up down in Cornwall. So that's going to be interesting. And I believe the host or hosts are going to be dressing up as a butler and a maid. That's not me, because apparently
I will be there.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. So come say hello.
That brings up one other point as well, because the map for each game can also show events.
Yes.
You are looking at the map and you see a different type of icon. It means it's a Snag the Tag event, and that I think that usually means that there's other coins, like a redemption opportunity there, I think.
Yeah, you can redeem coins at the event if they so choose to do so. It's obviously their saves on postage, etc. And it also introduces other players to the game as well, because potentially there are going to be tags hidden at these events. They're like mini games, as it were. A game within a game of Snag the Tag, if you will.
And I think they're all listed as official geocaching events.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So they'll be on the geocaching map as well, but you'll find them on the Snag the Tag map if they get connected over. So get those on your calendar and be ready. One other question for you guys. What were your favorite games that you have played since you started Snag the Tag?
I think mine, I'm the newbie, so mine's quite easy. Mine is, obviously my first one was the No More Secrets to Find, but my first to hide was the Wizards, and that was really, really good, because I got the best of both worlds. I hid one and I found the other, and that was really, really good.
For me, it was the Knights Templar games. I did one crazy drive across the country back in the UK after work on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
I think I left work at about 3 o'clock and I got back home at about 11. And then the Friday just after, Beth turned around to me and says, "The other one you want still on the map, are we going?" And then on the Friday after work, we drove to London, and in the middle of London, pitch black, running around a park, trying to find this coin hidden in a wall. And yeah, it was just two awesome adventures.
We drove back watching the sunrise.
Yes, we did.
That was an all-nighter. That was a long we drove back watching the sun come up.
For me, it's got to be the Agents. Without a doubt, the Agents, by far my favourite. Everything about those just appealed, and that was my first game. That's how I became, obviously, the UK contact. That was the first one I bought into. Yeah, Agents.
There was something about each one that I liked, because the No More Secrets got the black hat. What else was there? There was the Urban Ninja was the first one. That one I traveled a big distance to get to it. Geobash was the most intense. Mammoth was another huge drive to get to one. The highs, like there's just so many.
I've got favorite stories to tell, but they don't necessarily all come with the same the same game. You know?
Oh, that was a great weekend.
Yeah, it was my birthday dance in Portugal. We went to my car into a camper, and I want to go camping. We took the seats out of my car. Dan cut down a foam mattress to fit perfectly in the back of my car. We slept in my car all weekend. It was a Volkswagen Polo. It's not necessarily the game, it's the adventure that comes with it sometimes, as opposed to a particular coin or a particular game. No, the Wizards have always got a vein straight to my heart, because I remember being there and Scott going, "Oh, I've got to go. The pure excitement on his face, he had this idea of a dog. It was God. I'm fine, I can't talk, I'm fine. Okay, and we watched the realization descend over his face.
You know, that adrenaline is one aspect of this whole adventure. It's not just the coin. It's that experience, that whole experience from notification to attempt to snag the tag, be the first to snag the tag. So it's a great way to have fun adventures and potentially get some traveling in as well. Depending on how.
Yeah, that's something that I've found is not like the US or Canada. The furthest I had to travel was 2.5 hours. But that was quite far for us. And I literally woke up my husband and said, "Get up, get the baby, we're going." And we went. But we had such a lovely weekend. And it took us to places, the same with geocaching, takes you to places you would never have gone before. Because you're going with that thing. We spent the day there. It was great.
You sort of mentioning places that you've never been before. That bleeding black hat that took me to that horrible, murky, underground water rat infested tunnel.
It was a brilliant video, though.
Yeah, it was. It was. If anyone wants to find it, it is on the UK page group somewhere, and it's me traipsing through a tunnel at sort of 9 o'clock at night. It's pitch black, running water up to my knees at some points, and fish attacking me, and me just getting the ump.
That's another minor point to add as well. It's like with geocaching, with caches, there's proximity, there's reviews, there's all of that, and you want to keep up the good ethic with Snag the Tag, but there's no review process really. It's you can place them next to other caches. You want to get permission if it's on private property, but it's a little more freedom in where to place them, so you could be potentially up for even more adventure.
That's it.
Yeah, I think one of the witches one was definitely an adventure for me, which is also, I think, on the community page where I videoed it, and I actually ended up falling into a little river.
Yes.
Memories.
But I got it, so it was good. It was all good.
If you haven't yet, then make sure you visit snagthetag.com, and then you'll be able to see games in progress and upcoming games and past games. But for either of those in progress or upcoming, you can visit and be sure to then click on the alerts. So create an account first, but turn on the alerts, because what you don't want to miss are new publishes. So you can create a new alert, and it'll let you know when new tags are published. You can give it a center point and a distance or a region, and then make sure you've got some kind of push notification as soon as you get that notification of a new a new tag published in your area, get those shoes on and rush out the door.
Be back halfway now.
It's a game that I don't think I've known any other game like it. It is exciting. You definitely get the adrenaline rush from it, and it's just something different.
And that's from the hider's point of view as well.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see who's going to find your tag.
Yeah.
What was their adventure? What was their story?
Yeah.
It's great from both points of view, definitely.
Well, thank you for coming out and joining us for this chat. It's great to hear from people who've been in Snag the Tag for some time and have taken up the mantle of trying to really encourage and boost it within the community, your local communities, which is really helpful to keep the game going. So thank you for coming along and joining us on this adventure.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
If you have any adventures you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. Email tgif@cashtheline.net or phone one in and leave a message at www.cashtheline.net/POI. We'd love to hear if you have any comments, funny stories, milestones, accomplishments, rants, and even adventures to share. That's tgif@cashtheline.net. Thanks for listening to this episode, and please remember to give this show a thumbs up or a positive review. Thank you to the sponsors Cashly and Arted Crafted and all of the patrons who support Cash the Line. If you'd like to join that band of excellent adventurers, please find us on Patreon or by visiting www.cashtheline.net/Patreon. You can support Cash the Line and get bonus swag and access to exclusive content for as little as a cup of coffee per month, or with a discount by the year. Links and references mentioned in the episode can be found in the show notes linked in the description. See you next month with more exploration into the wide world of excellent geocaching adventures. Please subscribe, follow, share with your friends, and comment wherever you're able. And as always, happy caching and excellent adventuring.